Welcome to House Talk, with maintenance tips unique to the retreat at Banning Lewis Ranch, with your host, Doug Bowman. Hello and welcome. I've gotten a few requests about irrigation videos, so I've decided to break it up into 4 sections, with today's topic being maintenance of your sprinkler heads and emitters. So let's get started. Today we'll discuss our local water-wise requirements, the maintenance and operation of our sprinkler heads and emitters, and we'll finish with a discussion about emitter placement. We'll start with our local water-wise requirements for our area. They mandate limiting sprinkler irrigation to a maximum of 3 times per week, avoiding watering between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. from May 1st to October 15th. Residents are urged to repair leaky sprinklers within 10 days, prevent water runoff, and the use of shutoff valve nozzles with water hoses. These requirements are effective all year long. So let's talk about sprinkler heads and some of the maintenance tasks that will keep them up and running. So we're going to use a mock-up here to demonstrate our spray nozzle today. This is a 4-inch riser on this particular one. You can buy them where there are 6 inches and 12 inches for like going over shrubs and bushes, but for grass, 4 inches is perfect. The ground should be about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch above the nozzle head. You want that down so it doesn't get damaged by the landscape equipment. And these risers, you can buy risers that will raise this up and lower this down as much as 12 inches. What you'll find over time is that if there's been a large leak here, or if there's just been a lot of water accumulating in and around this sprinkler head, the piping system and all the dirt down below will get soft and moist, and the whole piping system will drop down, causing what used to be a perfect height on their sprinkler head to now be down a 1/2 inch, 1 inch, even more. And what you have to do there is you got to dig down around, get down to the bottom of the piping. You may have to expose a little bit more, put some stone down in there, some rocks in there, get that lifted back up. So not only is it at the right height level, but it's also not tilted inside or outside. Because if it's not perfectly perpendicular, what you'll find is that when it does spray, it'll spray just the grass, within a few inches of the nozzle head in one direction, and in the other direction, it'll spray way up and over and not get the nearby grass. So it's got to be the perfect height, and it's got to be perfectly perpendicular for it to be totally effective. So we're going to remove this. You should be able to do this by hand. If you have to, you could use a pliers to get this off. It just unwinds lefty-loosey from the top. You pull that out. Here's our assembly. As you can see, it's got the spring. The spring holds it closed, and when water pressure is developed, the water pressure will push the spring and collapse the spring, and up comes the nozzle. Before we go inside to clean this unit here, you want to look down inside. Sometimes there will be debris and small rocks that are in there. You really can't go down there and get that stuff out. So what you would do here is you would go turn the irrigation system back on and have it actually overflow and get those, get up enough flow going to get those rocks and debris out of there, and then you can shut it off and let it settle back down. But that'll get the debris out from the inside. Okay, we've come inside now. We're going to clean off the nozzle and the stem and the filter that's in here. Get the water going. Screw out the nozzle. Set that off on the side. Take out the filter. You want to backwash the filter to make sure you get any little particulates out of there inside. If you need to and it's really bad, you could use like a wire brush, or you can use a toothbrush to get that cleaned out. Set that off. The stem here, the stem really shouldn't hold too much dirt in here, but you want to feel this to make sure there aren't any burrs, and that what you're feeling is nice and smooth, so that as it moves up and down in the cast of the body, it's not hanging up. So that's the most important thing there. And then the actual nozzle itself, you want to get inside the nozzle opening on the side where the spray pattern comes out, underneath, on top. You want to make sure that you've got everything out of there. Give it a good look before you call it complete. Spray it a little bit more in there if you see anything, and then you're set to go. So here we are after cleaning the filter and the cartridge. Let's go ahead and reassemble it. So here's the head. You want to take the stem. Stem goes down through the center of the spring. You want to get a good hold of it so it doesn't launch across the room. The filter in here, there's There's no wrong way to do this. You just set that inside, and then the nozzle head screws up on top, and then you can slowly release this, and you should feel nice smooth operation as this goes up and down. As I said earlier, you can use a silicone lubricant, even though this is WD-40 brand silicone. The original WD-40 is an oil-based product, and you really don't want to use that on the systems because it'll dry up and stop operating after a few weeks. But the silicone will last years and years. So you can lubricate the stem a little bit to make that go up and down. You can do that even in the grass. Not during a total tear down like we're doing here. If we got one that's binding up, you can just lubricate it right on the spot. So here we're going to go ahead, set this back down, screw this back in place, hand tight. You can go ahead and use a crescent wrench on this as well, or pliers on this, but you don't want to overdo it because you don't want to introduce any flaws or cracks, and then have to replace the entire unit because you over tightened it. The two most common sprinkler head nozzles are adjustable nozzles and fixed nozzles. Both of these are available at our local big box stores, and they're very reasonably priced, but there are a few things you need to know before you purchase one. Meaning the company name, this happens to be Rainbird brands, the color, which represents the maximum distance they'll reach, and for fixed nozzles, the spray arc pattern that you'll need. For example, 90 degrees, 120, 180, or 360 degrees. What we have here is a Rainbird adjustable sprinkler head, a green in color. That means it has a maximum throw of 8 feet. This one can be adjusted, and I'll show you how to do that. You see the little hole right there? That's the current adjustment, and you just take this outer dial, you spin this around, and you can see it getting bigger and bigger, and you can go all the way to 360 degrees. And that'll give you the spray pattern that you need. And then if you want to decrease or increase the amount of flow that they will pass, then down at the end, there's the screw. As I said, it's green, so this is a maximum of 8 foot in distance. But if you want to dial that down, you just put the screwdriver down at the end here, and you can snug that up or loosen that up, and that'll decrease that flow to less than 8 down to a few feet. So that's a Rainbird adjustable head. What we have here is a Rainbird non-adjustable sprinkler head. This one you have to know what degree of spray you want it to have when you get this. This particular one is 180 degrees. You can buy these in 90 degrees, 120 degrees, 180, and then 360. But once you put it in place, you can't make any adjustments to that spray pattern. You can lower the spray distance that these will spray. As I said, this one is a 12 foot, so you can lower the spray by adjusting the screw head in the center here. So here's our Rainbird assembly put back together. The spray patterns on here can be adjusted once you get the angle of your spray determined. You just pull these out, and you can grab it, and you can rotate it to the left, rotate it to the right. That clicking noise is normal, and that'll give you the starting points that you need for both of your spray heads, whether it's adjustable or whether it's fixed. Next, we'll discuss the different types of emitters and bubblers. Inline emitters are great for smaller plants and flower beds. They are linked together in series and have flows of 1/2, 1, and 2 gallons per hour. Don't read too much into the colors because each manufacturer uses their own color coding. These flag drippers are great for larger plants and shrubs that need flow rates of 1, 2, and 4 gallons per hour. Many people believe these flag drippers are adjustable because of the tab, but in reality, the function of the tab is just so that they can be removed so you can flush out dirt. Bubblers are for larger areas and the largest of plants and trees. The bubbler here is adjustable from 0 to 16 gallons per hour. Turning the top clockwise will reduce the flow all the way to 0. Turning counterclockwise will increase the flow and the range to the maximum flow rate. For our last topic, we're going to talk about inspection and repair of bubblers and emitters. These are pretty reliable and typically won't fail. Even though they may look like they're corroded with calcium buildup, there really doesn't do a lot to block the flow. maybe 5 or 10%, so you don't necessarily need to replace them just because they look calcified. Just for demonstration purposes, I've elected to replace this bubbler. You can use water if you're using a dry connection. It'll make things slide on and off easily. Here you cut it just below the old emitter, round it off, spray it. It's more of a lubricant. Grab hold of the wire in your emitter, just push and turn until it seats. There, this one's got a little bit more to go. A little more pressure, and there it's seated. Open up the emitter. You'll come back later and check it once water's flowing to make sure you've got the right flow. But that's basically it for almost all type of emitters and bubblers. Your bubblers, drippers, and emitters really need inspection more than they need maintenance. Over time, shrubs and plants grow and have different needs. Lines get kicked around by landscaping crews, or plants just die, but you continue to irrigate them. It's those types of things that you need to keep an eye out on. Here's some of my favorites. This rock has been being watered for years, but it still hasn't grown. This plant has been dead since last year's frost, but still continues to be watered. And I think this is my favorite. This irrigation line was used for this plant when it was much smaller, but it has since grown around it and actually engulfed the hose to where it can't be used anymore. It's clear this line hadn't been looked at in years before it got rerouted. The stronger the plant's root ball, the stronger the plant. Plants that were just 2 to 3 feet tall when planted can grow to be 20 to 30 feet or even taller. Over time, the irrigation needs to change. As the root ball grows, you've got to move back the irrigation to accommodate. The farther the roots have to travel, the stronger the root ball will become. If you need supplies or materials to do your maintenance, just take a picture of them with your smartphone and take it to your local hardware store. They're more than willing to help, and they've got ample supplies. Well, thanks for watching, and if you have any comments about this video, be sure to add a comment below. And if you want to know more about irrigation components, be sure to watch these other irrigation videos. Again, thanks for watching, and feel free to subscribe. And don't forget to hit that like button.